Thank you, Annette. Can you guys hear me? Is this up loud enough? Nobody can hear me. Ooh. How about now? Slightly better? All right, I'll try and speak up. How about that? Oh, that's the first one. All right. Hello. Thank you, Annette with North Oakland County Concert Band, correct? Concert Band. Thank you, everybody, for being here. They're pretty great. Give them a little round of applause. Oh, still? All right. All right, I'm new, as you guys can tell. I am not Gino, but standing is Gino. I am Italian, not quite as spicy, but I'll work. I'll do for now, right? Yeah, definitely. She says I have more hair. All right. Hello, and thank you everyone for coming today to honor our fallen soldiers and servicemen. Approximately 230 are buried here in this very cemetery. I know the celebration has been going on for many, many, many years, and I am brand new. My name is Jacqueline Olivier, and at the request of our very own Gino Malia, I'll be helping out with this and future Lakeville Cemetery events. As many of you know, Gino and Marlene were at the helm for the best we can guess. We're just going to go with 30 plus, but it's probably more. He's here representing both of them and their love for this country and our little community. I'd like to acknowledge both his military service and his dedicated service to this community for the last 70 plus years. He's going to be 94. So thank you, Gino. Thank you for all you've done and for taking me under your wing to keep this going. All right, hopefully everybody has a program. Our North Oakland Concert Band, led by Annette, has been entertaining us. Thank you, thank you. Let's start. We'll begin with the military march, followed by the raising of the flags. So, silence, please.
Color guard. Raise flags. Forward. March.
If we can now, thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Miss Marilyn Bookman will now sing our national anthem, followed by our 21 gun salute and taps.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red gleams, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Honor guard. Left face.
right. Now that you're standing, please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Marilyn Bookman. Thank you, Color Guard. Thank you, sir. Next, we'll enjoy the military service medley. If you have served, please stand for your branch. Did you lose him?
Okay, all you guys in the Army, stand up. Stand tall. Stand tall for that branch. All right, all the Marines, get up. All the Marines. Let's see there. Stand tall. Are you standing tall? Okay, the Navy. Let's see the Navy stand. I know there's some Navy here. All right, Navy, stand up. I'll say the Air Force. I know they're there. Space Force. Anybody from the Space Force?
No.
Coast Guard. Amy, stand up. Where's Amy? My best buddy was a Coast Guard, the only one in the cemetery. Where's Amy? My best buddy, Bob Godkin.
Thank you to the band and thank you to the service members. Thank you, Gino, for announcing. Now, if we could have the wreaths. We have VFW Post 334, American Legion 108, and our cemetery, Lakeville Cemetery Auxiliary. Thank you very much. Okay. Annette is going to give us one more song, followed by a reading from Lieutenant Colonel Christine Elaine Allen. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful arrangement. Thank you.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, great. I'll be reading a poem today called A Veteran Died Today. Unfortunately, I can't remember who the author was. A veteran died today. He was getting old and paunchy, and his hair was falling fast. And he sat around the VFW telling stories of the past, of war that he had fought in and the deeds that he had done. In his exploits with his buddies, they were heroes, every one. And though sometimes to his neighbors, his tales became a joke, all his buddies listened, for they knew whereof he spoke. But we will hear his tales no longer, for our comrade passed away, and the world's a little poorer, for a veteran died today. When politicians leave this earth, their bodies lie in state, while thousands note their passing and proclaim that they were great. Papers tell their stories from the time they were young, but the passage of a veteran goes unnoticed and unsung. He was just a common veteran. His ranks are growing thin, but his presence should remind us we may need his likes again. For when countries are in conflict, then the military's part is to clean up all the troubles that the politicians start. Perhaps just a simple headline in the paper that might say, "Our country is in mourning, for a veteran died today."
It's a tearjerker. Thank you. All right, now let's welcome our first guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Cindy Wright.
Thank you very much. I wanted to first start by thanking you all for coming today. You're a pretty small percentage of Americans, actually about 5 to 8%, that will participate in a Memorial Day activity. So thank you for coming. The United States has fought in 12 major wars and many various scrimmages throughout our history. We're here to honor those that died and were killed during those wars. Many of you may know, I want to talk a little bit about the cemetery, but many of you may know that this is one of the oldest cemeteries in the state of Michigan. It was established back in 1843. There are to date 195 veterans that are buried in this small cemetery. There's one for the American Revolution. There's 8 that fought in the Civil War. There's 1 from the Spanish-American War. There's 16 from World War I, 88 from World War II, 14 that served in Korea, 22 that served in Vietnam, and 46 that the records don't show what conflict they were involved. I mentioned them today. We honor those that were killed, but I have to imagine that at least more than a few of them were killed during those early battles. There's nothing on the records that talk to that, but I'd like to honor them today, and it is an amazing history in the cemetery. At the core of our military lies some very unique themes. The first one is the selfless desire to serve something that's bigger than yourself, and then certainly the willingness to die for another or for our nation. Memorial Day was first observed back in 1856, or 156 years ago, sorry. At that time, it was called Decoration Day because after the Civil War, the families and friends would go out to the grave sites and strew flowers over the graves. Today, the name has changed. We call it Memorial Day, but certainly not its intent or its ideals. For we're here today to honor the more than 1.3 million men and women that have died for us. Certainly the majority of those are men, but I just wanted to mention that it's been documented that women have been killed in combat in every war since the Civil War. During the 9/11 global war on terrorism, 166 women were killed during combat operations and 1,000 were injured. We all know that the cost of war is counted in the lives that were lost. But there are so many more hundreds and thousands and millions that are left behind with broken hearts. There are the moms and dads, the husbands, wives, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters. They have a big hole in their heart. They have a lot of unfulfilled dreams for that person. We call those people Gold Star family members. They are the immediate family of a military individual that was killed during active duty service. I was just wondering if we had any Gold Star families here today. Last year, I was talking with a Gold Star mom. She had lost her son in the global war on terrorism. I was getting ready to speak, and she asked if I would mention that it's hurtful for her and a little difficult when someone comes up and says Happy Memorial Day to her. She said it can be a little jarring and seem insensitive when they're grieving and remember the ones that they lost. So what do you say? What are some suggestions you can say to someone that has lost a loved one in the war? You can let them know that we will be remembering that this holiday is about, just letting them know that you're thinking about them and acknowledging the sacrifice that they made, the loved ones made. And I bring it up because I never really thought about it. I don't ever remember saying Happy Memorial Day to someone that's lost somebody, but I just thought it was something to be aware of. I also wanted to mention a piece of information that I saw when I was researching Memorial Day. Back in 2000, the US Congress passed the National Moment of Remembrance Act. And what it says is 3 p.m. local time on Memorial Day, Americans are asked to take a minute of silence and to honor the sacrifices of those who died in service to our nation. Again, I have never done this, but I'm hoping I can do a better job in our community to bring this to light and get people to actually take a minute out of their day. There have been so many amazing, talented, smart, courageous men and women that have died for us with incredible stories, both that we know or we don't know. They have died for us, for our freedoms. We owe it to them to do as much good as possible, to make wherever we are a little better today than it was yesterday. Be a stronger nation, a kinder community, and honor a debt that we can never repay. We ask God to hold those who died and their families in the palm of his hand, and may he continue to bless the United States of America and all those in service to her. Please never forget.
And I feel bad saying I did not even know about the 3 minutes or the minute at 3. Right. Let's welcome Lieutenant Colonel Barry Sebring. He's come a long way. You can tell him.
He came all the way from Massachusetts.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I used to be a squadron commander, so forgive me if I don't use the mic. I'm not yelling at you, I'm yelling with you. Think of it that way, okay? If you're old enough and you happen to have ever seen a movie called Yankee Doodle Dandy, played by James Cagney, there's a line in there where he says, "Nothing stirs my heart and blood like the music of a military band." Folks, you are fabulous. You are a fantastic band. I can't thank you enough. I don't know about everybody else, but I have tears in my eyes, not just for my song, but for every one of those. Because like a lot of you guys, we all work together, right? It's one big team. We don't care what uniform we wear, we all work for the red, white, and blue. My wife's a teacher. It is our 39th anniversary today. She's in Massachusetts and I'm here. And the reason that is because General Gino, God love him, ordered me here back in February. So, we are going to have fun today. But one of the things that if you're a teacher, you know somebody who teaches, the first and most important thing is every single lesson has to have a test, right? So at the end, I'm going to give you guys a test and we'll see how you did. You know, it wasn't that long ago that our country wasn't as free as it is now. And if you think about it, if you ask different people, what is it that makes America America? Well, you'll get a million different answers, right? And if you listen to the press and you listen to the politicians and maybe your neighbors, they'll all tell you there's something wrong with our country. Well, I've made this offer to a million people and I have yet to take one up on me, but I'll make it to anybody, anywhere. I will buy you a first-class ticket to any country you want to go to, but before you leave, I get two things from you. I'll cut them up in front of you at the airport. I get your MasterCard and I get your passport. The passport because we don't want you back, and your MasterCard because I want to see you make it in another country the way you made it in America. A 160 years ago, we were embroiled in the biggest battle in our nation's history. We were fighting the American Civil War. North versus the South, and Fort Sumter just happened a few months earlier. So in July of 1861, a bunch of representatives and congressmen and senators who used to be in the U.S. Army in the 40s and the 50s put their uniforms on, grabbed their boots, grabbed their sabers, and took 15,000 Union Army south, more or less southwest, of the nation's capital. About 30 miles out, they ran into 15,000 Confederates coming in the other direction. See, the North had had enough of this little insurrection. They were going to put an end to it. But they quickly found out at a place called Manassas, which eventually became known as the First Battle of Bull Run, this was not going to be an easy conflict. It was not going to be over in a matter of a few skirmishes. It was going to be a bloody, bloody fight. So the Union Army limped back home, and they talked about it. And there were some names there that you might remember from history if you study anything or you remember some of these names. A guy by the name of Ulysses Sam Grant. He was a colonel there at that time and fought with a regiment. Another guy by the name of Tecumseh Sherman. He caused a little problem in the South a few years later. You might have heard about him. Another guy that we don't remember, and I don't know why we forget him, except that, as Colonel Wright talked about, Happy Memorial Day, right? There's nothing that stirs me more than to hear somebody say that. Well, this guy his name was John A. Logan, and he was a colonel from Illinois, and he decided to get out of the Army, and he decided to be a representative, and they liked him, and he was a Douglas Democrat, one of the staunch Douglas Democrats in the 50s, 1850s, and they sent him off to Washington, D.C. He did great things, but when it came time for the war, he grabbed his saber, he went down there, and he fought with a Michigan unit, the Michigan unit that was on assignment at the time, guarding the nation's capital. So there is a direct tie, folks, ladies and gentlemen, to Memorial Day and to Michigan. And it was John Logan working with that Michigan unit and fighting with them that made him, in the years later, create, as Colonel Wright talked about, Memorial Day or Decoration Day. Well, a few years after the end of the war, in 1868, just 3 years after the end of the war, General Logan, now Major General Logan, had retired and he went back to being a representative, this time as a Republican. No offense to anybody. But one of the things that he found out was our country starts to forget, doesn't it? We forget everything. We forget 9/11. We forget all the major events that happened that made our nation. And everybody everywhere wants to apologize for things that none of us had anything to do with. But our nation goes around this world and we always try to help, and at the same time we go, well, I'm sorry we did this or I'm sorry we did that. And General Logan said, we need to remember all these men and women who died in defense of their country. So on May 5th, 1868, General Logan issued General Order Number 11 that states, and I quote, on the 30th day of May, 1868, it's designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of those comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. General Logan went on to say, we should guard these graves with sacred vigilance. Let no wanton foot tread rudely upon this ground. Let no vandalism or neglect, no ravages of time, testify to the current or the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic. And then he concluded with, if other eyes grow dim and other hands slack and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, ours shall keep it well, as long as there is light and warmth in our bodies. Let us raise above them the grand old flag, which they save from dishonor. You know, folks, what is it about our nation's colors that around this world makes it the most respected and wanted symbol, and at the same time the most hated symbol? You know what it is? It's one word: freedom. Absolute freedom. You folks don't have to be here today. I have to be here because General Gino ordered me here. But the rest of you folks, maybe the band had to be here, but unless you're being ordered here, you don't have to be here. You have the right to do what you want to. So why is it that we've changed so much, remembering what's important? Why are we really here? As Colonel Wright said, Happy Memorial Day. You go someplace, and I got a cup of coffee yesterday on my way across Canada, and the lady was nice enough, but I should say before I left Canada over in Buffalo, the lady was nice enough, but when she handed me the coffee, she said, Happy Memorial Day. You know, I don't know about you guys, but there's just something about that. You don't wish them a happy 9/11 day. You don't wish them a happy other day. What is it about Memorial Day? Well, you know what it is? Thank you, United States Congress. If you're a politician, I apologize, but here goes. 100 years after Major General Logan said, we're going to honor these folks, the United States Congress, and they're very adamant about admitting to this, they said, you know, we don't have enough 3-day weekends for federal employees. Honest engine, okay? Honest. So they created something called the Uniform Mondays Act. And no kidding, in 1968 they signed it and they said, this is great. We got 4 more federal Monday holidays. So the first one they took was Washington's birthday, because, hey, who knows if George was actually born on the 22nd of January, but they just moved it to a Monday. Now try that if you were a kid, okay? Can you imagine going up to your mom and saying, hey Mom, my birthday's on Wednesday, but you know, it's Monday and I really want a 3-day weekend, so I'm not going. What? The other one they moved, dare I say, because it's politically incorrect, is Columbus Day. Now, okay, call it what you want, but Columbus, quote, discovered America on the 12th of October. But we moved it to a Monday, so again, we can have another holiday. The third one they moved, and we were all a little upset about this one, was Veterans Day, because somewhere, someplace, I remember learning something about the 11th hour and the 11th day and the 11th month. But that really wasn't important to Congress, so they made it on a Monday. We fought and got that one back where it belongs on the 11th of November. But the one we lost out on was the 30th of May. So what happens when you take a holiday or an event or a ceremony or a remembrance and you move it to a 3-day weekend? This is what happens. Here comes the test, okay? Raise your hand if anybody in here remembers actually getting news from one of these things. Anybody ever see this? Okay, if you're younger than 30, you may not know this is a newspaper. No offense intended, but it's a newspaper. It is paid for by sponsors, and it gives you the news. This is how we get everything nowadays, right? Social media. It doesn't really give you anything but problems and drama, but this is how we communicate now. It is paid for, unless you have a subscription, by sponsors. So what's the big deal? Do you know that in today's newspaper, you are all here for the wrong reason? This has absolutely nothing to do with honoring our nation's war dead. Memorial Day is about putting your boat in the water. No offense intended to our captain, sir. I know it's Michigan. You have 11,300 lakes, and as I put it, Michigan doesn't even brag about the fact it has 11,300 lakes. Minnesota brags about 10,000. You guys got more. You don't brag about it. But it's about putting the boat in the water, right? It's about doing the hot dog and doing the barbecue. And did you know this? On this thing this morning, I saw an advertisement. Get this. Buy 3 tires and you get the 4th one free. And you know what's important about that? What's important about that is Detroit's still making them with 4 wheels on. So how convenient. You get 3 tires, you get the 4th one free. Really, think about it. It's a time to buy mattresses. It's not a... Who knows anything about Memorial Day? So when someone wishes you a happy Memorial Day, they honestly have just been drawn up in the whole thing of the 3-day weekend. And we're all guilty of it, okay? I was an Air Force squadron commander. Before I could release my people at the end of the Friday before Memorial Day, we had to give them, and Colonel Wright will attest to this, the 101 critical days of summer, because to the United States Air Force, summer exists from Memorial Day to Labor Day, end of summer. And we had to brief everyone on boating safety, alcohol safety, all the other safeties that go along with it. But never in any briefing that came out of my headquarters, and I'm talking level of the Air Force, never was there a slide that said, oh, hey, don't forget why we really have Memorial Day. So I get a little passionate about it, and I get a little bit on my soapbox, but there's a reason for it, okay? I was totally honest and totally serious when I told the band, I cry when I hear music that stirs me to remember those names of my friends who I don't have anymore. Some of them I lost in combat, some of them I lost in other ways, but I still remember them. And we are all part of that family. So as Colonel Wright said, what can we do? You can talk to that person next to you. When they say Happy Memorial Day, say, well, you know, it really is a day of remembrance. And we really are trying to remember people. And send a text out to your friends and say, hey, remember what Memorial Day is all about. We are really here to remember the more than 1 million Americans who gave their lives so that you and I can do whatever we want. We don't have to be here. We have the choice to do what we want. That freedom is what every other nation that doesn't have it wants and hates at the same time. You don't see Xi Jinping's troops around here checking off whether or not you folks are all here. There's no Russian KGB looking at all your faces to make sure that you came for this political training. You are here on your own, and you're here voluntarily, with respect to General Gino. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for attending, and as Colonel Wright said, the most important thing is that we all remember. To the band, you guys are fantastic. Please keep it up. I can't encourage enough what you guys do, and I just thank you so much, because it really does. It's a tribute to every single person who has ever been in the U.S. military. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
He warned me he was going to be passionate. I liked it. Thank you very much, sir. Let's see. We have Mrs. Ann Rozeski will lead us now in singing God Bless America. Thank you.
Join me, please. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, folks. Pardon me. We have Reverend Patty. Did she come? Oh, Reverend Patty. Do we have anyone that would like to bless our food before we finish up? Thank you. I appreciate it.
Please uncover. Join with me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we look to you this day, knowing that all we have, all we've ever had, and all we ever will have comes from you. Today, we look to those brave people who have given their lives that we might live not only in safety, not only in comfort, not only in freedom, but in your arms. We ask that you continue to bless our country, Lord, and we ask that you will send revival and renewal among the souls of this nation. Father, we thank you for this day that we've been able to gather together to celebrate the beauty of the giving that has been given to us. Lord, we now ask that you would bless the food that is going to be taken. We ask that you consecrate that food to the strength of our bodies and us in turn to the strength of your will and doing your will in this world, in this country. We ask it in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Gino, you can say that. What's better? Yeah, trip hazards.
Yeah, really. What I'd like to say is, way back when we started this Memorial Day service at the Lakeville Cemetery Auxiliary, we didn't realize what it would turn out to be, but I am glad it did. But I am leaving. I'm not leaving yet.
Can't get rid of us.
Can't get rid of me like a wart. Uh, I want to say that I believe I'm leaving this memorial service in the best hands I've ever seen. Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you, Gino. He's lying. He's just saying that because I'm Italian too. All right, everyone. Oh, it's the hair. Thank you. Um, thanks everybody for coming out and honoring those that have made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. I just would like to say, let's stay together as a community and continue to support one another. I know many of us do have loved ones here buried in this cemetery along with all of our veterans, and so I do appreciate the camaraderie. Everyone that came, please bring more people. Let's make this a little bigger again, especially for this guy here. Help yourself to some refreshments, and if you'd like to participate next year or donate, there will be a sign-up sheet over by the Donuts and Coffee. That's DK Donuts per Gino's request. Best donuts in town, he says. Those donuts are how Gino suckered me into this. So thank you, everyone. Everyone that participated, got our VFW, American Legion, the band, and you folks. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.